Okay, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do another review today of these World War II gaming rules called Battlegroup. I think I've only gotten a chance to play these rules once. Didn't really work quite well, and that wasn't because of the rules. It was just because I didn't have enough models. I would like to play it again, but that's just sort of a disclaimer from the get-go that I've only tried these once, didn't really work out. So I hope to follow this initial review up with another review, and after I get some playtime in. But so this is just kind of a first or second or third impressions review. I think overall these Battle Group is really good if you've played Bolt Action or Flames of War, but you want something that's just a little bit more technical and a little more suited to actual true historical scenarios. So you'll see, since I have two books out, that's part of one of the features of this game is you get the main rule book, and this has a Normandy scenario in the back, so you can play out the Canadians at Normandy versus Germans, of course, and then I have for my purposes, I have the Market Garden scenario, so I can run a British airborne and regular troops game. So we'll take a look at the inside. It's designed for 15 and 20 millimeter models. So, you could use your Flames of War stuff, which is nice if you've got that. You can do it in 28 millimeter. You have to modify some of the ranges a bit, and you need a lot more models. So if you have a big World War II collection, that can work. But if you're someone like me who just has basically a reinforced platoon and a half-ish for bolt action, that might not be the best. And these are written by Warwick Kinrade. I think that's how you say his name. Actually, I think he was the same author of the Siege of Rax book for Warhammer 40k, which is a great book Forge World put out, one of my favorites. Just interesting little bit of trivia there. And so just flip through. And like I said, if you get the core rules, you can run sort of a basic game with the main rule book. But if you want to do like here, Eastern Front, there's a book for, I believe it's titled Kursk, for doing the Eastern Front. And I think there's others. And one thing I will say about the availability of the books, they're all really well put together, as you can see, but they're kind of hard to find for some reason, at least in the United States. I'm not sure why, but that's just how it is. There's gives you some points values. Let me see if I get that closer. Table sizes. So this is the basic overview of the turn. So you get a random number of orders dice. So it's based on the size of the game. Issue orders. You rally at the end. And that's sort of the basic structure. Here's some of the orders, if you can see those. This is a example turn. Some of the different orders you can do. So there's quite a few, which, if you're used to stuff like Flames of War or Bolt Action, it's a lot more technical, like I said, but not in a way where it's overly burdensome. It just adds a lot more to the game if you're looking for a more in-depth World War II, company level game. So, lots of different orders. And one thing I wanted to highlight is, so this is the movement. Nothing too crazy there. Shooting. One thing I really like about Battlegroup is there are two different types of shooting. which I think adds a lot more historical realism to it. So you can do a suppressing fire order, and so you just roll one die, and that lets you see if you suppressed an area or unit, and that can potentially pin whatever you're firing at. So, and then if you want to do an actual damaging shot, you can do aimed fire, and this is where you roll multiple dice based on the rate of fire of whatever unit you're shooting with. And this is where you can deal more substantial damage to the target. I got some stuff on weapons, some more in-depth AP and HE shells, indirect fire, pretty standard stuff where you'd want in a World War II game. And then and then you've got morale, and one of the main mechanics of this game is you pull from this set of counters, so you can print this off and then cut them up into the tokens you need. And so your army gets a certain battle rating, and based on its importance, and then each time a unit is destroyed, you take a counter, and if you match your battle group rating, then you lose, basically. So, but then there's also these other special tokens that give you different different special events. You've got air attack, this Beyond the Call of Duty, where you can immediately give it an order, confusion, low ammo. I think you can kind of see that. And then there's some bunch of different universal special rules, which I'm a big fan of in war games. I think they make things a lot easier. And then we've got rules for aircraft, battlefield engineering, anti-aircraft fire, all this stuff. So, and then we've got some missions. So you can do like historical scenarios like that are laid out in the scenario book, like I'll get to in a second, but then you can also do just these pickup games. And then the main rule book actually comes with a scenario book built in, like I said, so let me get to that. So this is the army list for, so this is the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division, and this gives you what you need to play, essentially. So you've got your headquarters units, infantry units. Now, one thing I will say that I can go either way on this, is you do kind of need a lot of models for this. So just for your basic infantry platoon, you need 1 platoon command section, 3 rifle sections. Well, that's up to light mortar, and then that's mandatory, and 4 platoon support options. So, I mean, not too different from Flames of War. If you're familiar like with the unit composition there. So, like for my British Flames of War, which I'll probably show on the channel at some point, I need for like a infantry company has command with 2 rifle sections, and then you've got like 5 to 7 infantry teams. But this one you need, so similar idea, platoon command section, 3 rifle sections, 10 men with a Bren gun. I think if you're using your Flames of War models, you could probably sort of fudge this and run, each base team as just representing 10 men. If you're inclined to do that sort of thing, you need, and then it's got these other support sections, and then you've got your rifle sections, mortars, tank units, recce, and logistics, and then there's the Germans, same thing. There's your sort of company command, and then you've got tanks, Panzer Grenadier platoon. Let's see, Panzer Grenadier platoon command section. Okay, so true to the history, Germans, you don't need quite as many troops. It's 5-man squad per Panzer Grenadier squad, and they can be mounted in a half-track plus MG teams. So, if you've got a Flames of War army and you want to do Germans for Normandy, I think you wouldn't be too difficult there. There's the support units to the Germans, and this is how the scenario books are sort of laid out, and then for the army lists at least, and then it's got these historical scenarios for the Canadians in Normandy fighting the SS Panzer Grenadiers, and then you've got the armored vehicle statistics, artillery, and then the German artillery. So not really a positive or negative in my opinion, but the different unit stats are a little spread out for this game. So you're going to you might need to flip through a few books depending on what you're trying to run. But I will say for the core rules, one thing I really like about this is that the QRS is really nicely done. And then it also gives you the page to cut out your counters. And then some advertising from Plastic Soldier Company. And then it also comes with a QRS you can take out, which I haven't done. I'm a little afraid to do that, to be honest. And then these are some of the other books. So you've got Overlord, kind of similar to Flames of War, and to a certain extent Bolt Action in terms of these different theater themes. Early War Blitzkrieg, Barbarossa, Kursk, Fall of the Reich, and Wacht am Rhein, which is for Battle of the Bulge, Ardennes Offensive. And then you got some campaign counters. And so I'll go show the QRS that I've photocopied here. Again, really nicely laid out and gives you pretty much everything you need. You can play most of the game as long as you've got the basic rules down from this. So you've got your weapon rate of fire, aim to hit, fire to hit table, observation table. That's something I forgot to mention, I believe, and I apologize for not looking this up in advance. You need to roll if you can sight someone in, even if you're just using small arms fire. I think that's what that's for. But like I said, I hope I can follow this video up with an actual battle report of me playing this, if I can, maybe convince one of my some of the guys I play Flames of War with to try this out. Suppressing fire effect and movement, cute, but I just wanted to show that because I think it's a really great quick reference sheet, really thoughtful. And then we'll take a look at the scenario book, because you pretty much need one of these to play. Again, unless you just want to use the Normandy rules in this for Western Front, but since I love Market Garden, kind of a weird thing to say, but we'll take a look at this, and all these books are really nicely laid out, and this one is also written by Warwick Kinrade. Okay. So it gives you some historical information, pretty extensive, about the operation. Nice photos, pictures, and let's get to the actual. So this is all just the historical information, which, again, for Wargaming book, at least the ones I've seen, this is really nicely detailed and really well written. And then you've got some special rules for doing this. And then there's some differences in the German army list. So it gives you some different special historical scenario rules. So we got the Panzer Division. And then we've got, this also lets you do Fallschirmjägers, or German, which are German paratroopers. And then this is the generic, this is sort of the German Kampfgruppe infantry formations that were kind of put together late in the war out of whatever was laying around, basically. And then these are the army lists in detail. So we've got the British 1st Airborne Division. So this one you don't need quite as many units or troops if you're doing airborne or air landing. Airborne you need 10 men with a Bren gun. Okay, 3 rifle sections. So yeah, I mean, for Flames, if you've got a Flames of War army, I think that could work because you could have 2. Because most company boxes come with 10 or 5 infantry teams of 4 men apiece, 4 to 5. Why am I blanking on that? Anyway, so you can kind of combine those, I guess. And these are the different army lists. You get all of this. You also got Americans, of course. How would we have won the war without Easy Company? And you've got just different U.S. units, and then this gives you a bunch of different historical scenarios for playing the game, and it gives you like a table to lay out, which is really nice. And one of these I actually tried. I believe it was and then here we go. This is sort of a mini campaign to do Market Garden. And one thing I forgot to mention was each of these scenarios is different sized in terms of the game size. So company, as you can see, that's company, and then there's platoon. So it gives you different levels depending on how many units you, models you actually have. And then this lets you play out like a whole campaign based on these. So this is the first scenario. This is the one I tried. It didn't quite work. In 28mm at least, and with the number of figures I had. So you've got Assault on Johannoweg. Maybe someone's Dutch, they can correct me, my pronunciation. And for this campaign, most of these are platoon-sized engagements, which I think is pretty good if you're starting out. And this one's also platoon, and yeah, so it's all platoon size mostly for this one. Again, which I think this book, if you like, Market Garden like I do, this is a great option. But I also just think in general, if you just wanted to get, started playing the game, I think this is good because it's mostly platoon-sized scenarios, and then, of course, you can always do your own scenarios with the main rule book. Certainly nothing stopping you from doing that, but I think overall, just based on my first impressions, this game is probably best played when you follow the historical scenarios, just so you get the most out of it. But like I said, in general, I think this is a good option if you want something that's a little more technical and historically rich, but also not like too much to the point where it's you're just like looking at charts and stuff, and it interrupts gameplay. So I think the overall verdict with this is Battlegroup. Great option for World War II gaming, and I think I think it's certainly something you should pick up if you can find it. I got my copy off of Noble Knight Games, I believe. And like I said, they're kind of hard to find. You have to look on eBay, other places like that to get it. I'm not sure why, if that's because of the virus or it's just they kind of do a print run and then that's it. Not sure, but like I said, I think it's a really great game system, and I hope I can follow this sort of initial review up with maybe a battle report or come back to it after having played a game, and I can give sort of a little, um, follow up review of how it plays with more solid information and experience. So, anyway, with that, I will talk to y'all next time, and I hope you enjoyed it.